The Daily Mail, White House furious at top secret leak on Iran nuclear site bombing as Trump faces impeachment calls. Additionally, the impeachment failed, but we'll get to that in a bit. A leaked intel assessment claiming Trump's strike on Iran did not destroy Tehran's nuclear program is flat out wrong, the White House has claimed. The report conducted by the Defense Intelligence Agency and leaked by CNN claims Saturday's airstrike on 3 Iranian nuclear sites only set the country's program back by months instead of completely destroying it. Trump claims the strikes completely and totally obliterated, a statement echoed by White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, who dismissed the assessment as a clear attempt to demean President Trump. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets, total obliteration. Now, I don't know if I have the post actually pulled up, but I think the statements from the White House basically lay out that this assessment actually exists. It's a real assessment. So the question then is, why was it leaked? Who leaked it? And is Trump correct? Now, here's what I want to say about all of these stories. Trump is the source. He is the primary source as the commander in chief. So it is strange to me that CNN would run a story saying some random low-level guy leaked this report to us, and we believe this over the actual president and the administration. That being said, I understand administrations can lie, but for any layperson, you're going to be looking at random anonymous guy versus the president's administration. I don't know why, in this instance, you would doubt the primary source versus random anonymous source. You have no idea who it even is.
Well, the thing, too, is this assessment was, there were 7 sources that were, there were like 3 sources and people were briefed on the report, but the report wasn't leaked to CNN. CNN did not see the report. So they only heard about the pieces of the report that these sources wanted them to hear about.
I've become so cynical of political motivations behind leaks that it makes it's hard to believe what's actually true and what is just being used as an angle. A lot of these people in the administration, I mean, everybody involved in politics, a lot of these people who become sources for journalists seem to have an axe to grind.
Yeah, and people are out for Tulsi Gabbard. They want her out. Like, they've been messing with her whole intelligence situation for a while. They had the flip-flopping FBI reports about potential terror cells in the U.S. They were going after Joe Kent by leaking some stuff. I mean, there are, I think, elements in the media and out there, I don't know who they are, who really want Tulsi Gabbard out of her position.
Is it realistic to think that they're going to be able to influence the president to remove Tulsi? I mean, he is, it's not like he's afraid of firing people. It's not like he's afraid of making changes on the fly. But
I don't think he'd fire Tulsi Gabbard.
But I don't know if this is some low level person apparently leaked this.
That's what Caroline Leavitt said.
Right. And so my question is why? And my concern is, they're going to claim, well, if the strikes didn't work, we got to go in, don't we?
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, just because these strikes didn't work doesn't mean it calls for an invasion. Maybe it calls for a whole nother sortie of the exact same strike.
We also don't know that the 14 30,000-pound ordinances did not destroy it.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We know that CNN had 3 people, low-level people apparently, at the White House tell them that they saw an early version of a draft report, right? Like, of people who didn't check it out. They're just looking at images. They're just looking at graphics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is going to have a big impact. To me, you look at who is sharing this online and the joy and the glee they have, that they can smear something on this incredible moment for the president. It's CNN, it's liberal journalists, it's Democrats, and of course it came from low-level members of the deep state. This is not going to have an actual foreign policy impact. This was just like rage bait for people who cannot stand the fact that the president pulled off something incredible this week. They cannot stand the fact that what he did was something that neither side could have pulled off, this whole peace through strength thing where you protect the American people without losing a single soldier. So I think that this is really just like, this is like a cultural artifact of the moment more than it is actually even like journalism or designed to have actually a foreign policy impact.
I would also just intentionally try to impugn the honor of Natasha Bertrand.
Very
CNN.
easily done.
Yeah, because she's been involved in a bunch of these stories accusing Trump of being, Russian or whatever. And, that was all fake. So I was not surprised when I pulled up the CNN story saying, actually, the Iranian sites are totally fine. Uh-oh. And I'm like, oh, look, it's Natasha Bertrand.
Yeah, I mean,
unsurprising.
Motivated reasoning is definitely not out of the question.
Yeah, she's the one who penned that Politico report in the first place with the 51.
Was she?
Yeah, she penned the Politico report, and that report still has not been corrected or updated. And the other thing about that report that cannot ever be forgotten is that it was Antony Blinken with the Biden campaign who contacted one of the main guy. The main intel officer who worked on that report and said, hey, don't you think this kind of has the hallmarks of Russian disinformation? And the guy was like, yeah, it totally does. And then he got 50 of his friends and they put the letter together. And the letter didn't say also, I mean, when you look at the letter did not say that the Hunter Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. It said it had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. And then everybody ran with it. Jen Psaki, Russian disinfo. They all did that. None of them have taken their tweets down. And literally everyone who reported on that like it was true and refused to report on the Hunter Biden laptop story, because you have to remember, they all came out and said they would not report on it. And here's why. NPR, CBS, New York Times, all the rest of them, they all ended up with egg on their faces. And it was all Natasha Bertrand's fault.
Okay, so speaking of egg on the face, here's my question. So we saw Trump basically, metaphorically give the middle finger both to the neocon regime change side of the influencer sphere and to the anti-Israel isolationist side and do his own thing, which kind of split the difference and said, look, we're going to protect our people, but we're not going to war. We're not doing regime change. After the peace deal was signed, or whatever, the ceasefire came into effect, suddenly you had both the isolationists and the neocons coming out and being like, thank God he pulled it off. Thank God. I wasn't wrong. We were worried. We were worried. We didn't abandon him. We weren't against him. Thank God. Thank God. They're all trying to act like they hadn't actually done what they had done, which is completely come out against his agenda. What do you guys think of that?
His agenda in which regard?
Okay, the isolationists wanted him to do nothing. And then
I wanted him to do nothing.
You wanted him to do nothing. I also was not in favor initially of the strikes. I was too worried about our service members in the area. Thank God. Nothing happened to them. But they wanted him to tell the Israelis you're on your own. Not even give them refueling assistance and intelligence assistance. And then the neocons wanted full on regime change,
Yeah, boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. And when it became clear that wasn't going to happen, they started to get agitated and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to leave this hanging. This is our one opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But now that the dust has settled, both sides are trying to be like, I'm not unhappy. I was never angry. Me? What? Me? Yeah. I'm thrilled with how this is how I would have wanted. There's this weird, I think because they realized that 80% of Republicans were like, oh no, this is exactly what we want. This is the peace through strength that we voted for. But do you think people are going to have this feeling of there's going to be a lingering, a patina of betrayal on the people who turned on him and who came out against him? Or you think they'll just get immediately reabsorbed into
I think it gets reabsorbed, but it really does depend on if this holds, and I hope it does. I was talking to Dave Smith earlier, and he's very, very Israel critical of Israel. Very much does not want to be involved in these foreign wars and all that. And he had a reasonable take. Hey, if this ceasefire holds, then I'm happy. I'm happy to be wrong. Nobody wants to be, no sane person wants to be I'd rather be right. It's oh, you want the entire region to destabilize now so you can say, told you so?
So did he redact his apology for voting for Trump?
Dave sort of did.
Did he?
He said, everybody's saying, well, here's what he did. I asked him, did you vote for Trump? He says, yes. I said, do you regret it? And he goes, everybody's mad because I said I regretted it. But, what I'm saying now is I voted for the guy and where we are is where we are. And so I think, I not remembering literally every word that he said, the general idea was, Trump didn't do the worst thing that everyone thought was going to happen. Everybody thought this was the moment of great betrayal. It seems like Trump was trying to take the minimalist approach. The neocons are screaming, but they're going to get a nuke. The anti-interventionists are saying, don't get involved at all. And he's like, we'll bomb those sites and then we're done. That's why he got super pissed this morning and said, they don't know what the F they're doing, because he doesn't want. I told him, Dave, I hope Trump takes away from this. You cannot win this. You're going to piss off tons of people no matter what you do. So I hope Trump's takeaway from this was, don't listen to the regime change people. Don't listen to the people saying literally do nothing. You did the minimum, and now everyone can be happy with their vanilla pudding. To answer the question about Dave, I think Dave is kind of happy with his vanilla pudding. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I was pissed, but now I'm not so mad because we may get away from this without this being as bad as I thought, which actually means Trump is a pretty good president.
So there's this quote from J.D. Vance. He gave this great talk at the Quincy Institute, I think it's called, in 2024 in May. So I guess it was kind of right before he became,
he became
was the convention in August?
In July, I think.
And it's a really great talk, and he explains, like, basically from his point of view, like what a foreign policy designed to protect the interests of the middle class would look like. And he said, it is obvious that our foreign policy should be designed around the recognition that the moral intuitions that matter are the moral intuitions of the American citizens. And I think that is so accurate and so true, and just inherently a moral, correct way to see what a nation's foreign policy should look like. It should reflect the moral intuitions of the citizenry. It happens to be a lot of people in the isolationist camp do not want to admit it, but the moral intuitions of the American people, the majority of the American people, if not the vast majority of the American people, are very closely aligned with Israel. Like, that is, you stop a normie American, and their moral intuitions are pretty aligned with the idea of having a strong, pretty independent, sovereign ally in the region who fights people who hate us, And I think that's kind of where the isolationists went a little too far, is in doubting, A, that Trump knew his base, and B, that he could pull off something like this, and C, in doubting that the base should have their desires enacted in their form.
But I think this is changing. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.